If you feel stuck in self-sabotage and keep telling yourself that you have a fear of success, I don't think that is what is happening at all. Because think about it, if success and everything you ever wanted was handed to you without any risk or effort, you would have said yes, wouldn't you? I certainly would, and I'm pretty sure you would too. So the question isn't, why am I afraid of success? The real question is, what is success asking me that I am not ready to give yet? This was a realization I had a while back ago that completely changed how I see my own self-sabotaging pattern. And once I saw it, I could not unsee it. So my guess is that you have goals you want to achieve and dreams you want to pursue and things you want to accomplish. But maybe you keep telling yourself that in order to achieve those goals and dreams, you just need to plan a little more. You just have to reflect a little more or become more aware. But no matter what you do, nothing is actually moving forward. So if you feel like you're stuck in this almost there loop, this video is for you. For me, last year felt incredibly transitional. It almost felt like I was living between two identities. An old identity I haven't fully let go of yet, and a new identity that I haven't fully stepped into. And I realized, looking back now, that when we are in this transitional in-between phase, it's very easy to do one of two things. Either rush forward because you don't want to sit with uncertainty and the uncomfortability that comes with that, or you end up staying stuck because you are afraid of what moving forward will look like or require from you. I kept asking myself, if I know what I want, if I know I want success, why hasn't it manifested yet? And the answer I kept coming back to was simply that if it hasn't shown up yet, I'm not fully in alignment with the identity that has it. Because if I'm being really honest, when I looked more closely at my actions, my habits and behaviors, they didn't fully match the version of me that I said I wanted to be. And this is where something Neville Goddard teaches that really clicked for me, because he teaches that you can't serve two masters at the same time. And now I really understand what he meant by that, because you can't live in your old identity while expecting the life of the new one to manifest. And I realized I had been doing exactly that, living in between and serving both. So then the question became, if I know what I want, why am I not showing up differently? And of course, my mind immediately went to the same stories that I've been telling myself for years. And that is stories like, something is wrong with me, I am not good enough, I am being blocked, the universe is testing me, I have a fear of success, and so on and so forth. I have said those things to myself for so long, and maybe you can relate to some of those beliefs. And the thing is that when you're telling yourself limiting beliefs like that for so long, it starts to feel like truth. But I finally recognized that the stories I have been telling myself was either shaming myself or blaming the universe for my lack of progress and success. So this time I got really curious, especially around the stories I have been telling myself around fear of success, because what does fear of success even mean? As we have already concluded, if success was handed to you without any effort, risk, or responsibility, you would have said yes. And so would I. So I had to be really honest with myself, because I wasn't really afraid of success then. What I was afraid of was the responsibilities that comes with success. Because success isn't just about achieving or receiving more, it's also about being consistent, being visible, sharing your voice, holding yourself to a higher standard, being vulnerable, and also about self-trust. And in addition to that, it's also about not hiding behind the stories you have been telling yourself, like, I am not ready, I have nothing interesting to say, I am not capable enough, I am not good enough, and all those others, I am not fill in the blank enoughs. And this is where self-sabotage clicked for me in a completely different way, because manifestation isn't about what you want, it's about who you assume yourself to be. And by being really honest with myself when I was looking through that lens, I could see it clearly. I was not living from the assumption of someone who expected success. I was still rehearsing the identity of someone who's almost there. For me personally, that showed up as overly planning instead of taking action towards my goals and dreams. I also felt a lot of overwhelm and confusion and was using that as an excuse for not being ready. So, in general, I was choosing comfort over consistency. But here is the part that humbled me the most. Because my old identity wasn't just protecting me from failure, I was also benefiting from staying the same. For example, being confused and pretending not to know, which can feel like overwhelm. That gave me relief from pressure, both from myself and others. It bought me more time, it lowered expectations, and if I'm being really honest, it also brought me more sympathy. So you see, self-sabotage isn't just about what you are afraid might happen, it's also about what you're afraid to give up, like an old role or an old story, an identity that once kept you safe. But that doesn't mean you have done anything wrong or make you weak or anything like that. That just makes you human. But at the same time, it doesn't take away the responsibility for our own growth and evolution. So then I asked myself, what identity am I still assuming to be true? And what reality does that assumption create? Because once you see that you are the operant power, that you are the creator of your own reality, you stop putting the problem outside of yourself. And when you stop putting the problem outside of yourself, you also stop putting the solution outside of yourself. But I want to make one thing really clear though, because this is not about fixing yourself. It's about being honest with yourself. Because real growth doesn't start with taking more action or hustle harder. It starts with awareness and the willingness to tell yourself the truth. One important thing I want to mention though, because when you start to have those honest conversations with yourself, it's very natural and easy to slip into shame or blame. Shame is inward focused and can often sound like it's my fault, I should have done better, and blame is outward focused and can sound like it's their fault that I did this, or they made me do it, and so on. But neither of those creates safety in your body. And the part of you that are driving your self-sabotaging pattern won't open up unless they feel safe. So if that self-sabotaging part of you doesn't feel safe, it's really hard to gain awareness or understanding of it. Because when you don't have awareness of it, you aren't able to change it or integrate it either. As Carl Jung famously once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. We are getting into shadow work territory now, and that is a big topic and it definitely deserves its own video. So if that is something you want to see, just let me know. But for now, how do you go about this instead then? Instead of shaming or blaming? It's actually very simple. You meet yourself with curiosity, the same way you would a child, really. So when you gain awareness of or see something about yourself that you don't necessarily like, instead of seeing it as something dreadful or as something you have to fix, try to change your mindset to see it as an opportunity for growth and evolution. Because when you are able to change your mindset from shaming and blaming over to one of curiosity, that's where real growth and integration can start to happen. If you recognize yourself in any of this, I want to leave you with some questions that you can sit with. But as we have discussed in this video, self-honesty is the prerequisite for all growth and evolution. So when you are answering these questions, please be kind to yourself and try not to shame yourself or blame someone or something else. Just be honest. Who do I assume myself to be when no one is watching? Not who you want to be, but who you default back to emotionally. What behaviors or habits keep that identity alive? What do I get from staying here? Do I get less pressure from myself or others? Do I buy myself more time? Does it lower expectations? Is it because it feels safe? Do I get more sympathy? What is it for you? What do you get from staying there? And finally, if I fully stepped into the identity I say I want, what would I have to let go of? An old story, an old role you have played, or an excuse that has been protecting you? But remember, change, evolution, and integration is a lifelong process, so you don't have to change everything overnight. But awareness do changes everything though, because once you see what identity you have been serving, you get to choose whether you want to keep that old identity alive or if you want to step into a new one. And that choice, made gently, consciously, and repeatedly, is where real change begins. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!